Oh, you are recording. Wow.
We're on now, just
45 minutes in.
yeah, that's it, isn't it?
5 seconds.
Yeah, red lights everywhere.
Yeah.
You've had a bit of a trim, haven't you, as well?
I did.
There, look.
I had a
Did
wedding.
Did it yourself, didn't you?
I had a wedding last Friday, so I'm like, yeah, it's time for a trim. I hadn't had a trim in a little while.
Yeah, DIY job.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Always. So
Pretty straightforward, though, isn't it? What
Yeah,
could,
yeah,
what
yeah.
could go wrong
Number
there?
one.
What could go wrong?
And yeah, it just means
was
that I
your,
look sharp.
How was your weekend?
It was good. Very, very good.
Shot a wedding with a previous speaker, didn't you, Mr.
Yes,
Dan
yes.
Dolan?
The Dolan himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so relaxed. I literally said to you.
He's a
that-
wonderful man.
Yeah, he could literally talk to a brick wall and it would make the brick wall feel happy.
Yeah.
He's that sort of guy, really. So,
Yeah, or,
so yeah.
or very confused. one of the two.
But he's great like that. But yeah, I wanted to recap on our last episode.
Well, the last couple have been great, haven't they?
Yeah,
But
yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
But in particular, the last episode, Hannah B.
Yeah,
Um,
with the amazing curls in her hair. Really treated herself.
she
didn't
came ready. She came ready from the hairdresser.
Red carpet ready. I mean, that's what we expect from our guests, really.
Yes, 100%. So yeah,
You're not going to make the effort.
that's it.
We're not interested.
Yeah, that's it. But no, it was a really, really incredible episode. So if you haven't caught up on it, please do, because yeah, birth photography is not something that everyone would think that they would sort of like appreciate.
No.
Or
And I'd, like we said in the episode, I'd love people to go and check her work out that don't like kind of, or have got this idea of what they think her work is going to be like, and it's just nothing like that.
Yeah. Completely
Have you
agree.
got a bone to pick with people?
Not good, but it's not a bone.
You're in trouble, people. Get ready. Igor's got.
He's got his finger out.
Here we go.
No, first of all, it's just we are super grateful to people in terms of how they're sharing stuff on Instagram, which is amazing. It would be amazing if you could leave us a review on Apple.
Yeah, we don't really ask for reviews, do we?
No, we don't.
We should get some more
Yeah,
reviews.
and I was just reading them yesterday, and they're incredible. So first of all, thank you for the ones that have left the reviews there. We got 30 plus in there, but yeah, we could have more. And I think, it'll just help the channel to grow and make us climb the ladder of the charts. It's quite funny. I sent you
Little screenshot. We're big time, aren't we? Big time in Greece. My question to you was going to be: have you got loads of family members in Greece? Because we're also quite popular in Portugal. And I know you've got family
that's
in
true.
Portugal.
That's true. But Greece in particular, we're like top 5
For what was it?
Business-
Was it entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship, and it's just random. It's just random
Really
how the
strange.
algorithm works.
I did think the other day. I wonder if people are kind of connecting with us, because we've kind of got that bit of a mix, haven't we, between like Diary of a CEO and a Parenting Help.
We got the bands. So yeah,
Not quite as funny as Rob and Josh.
no.
But we're trying, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, it all helps. On a serious note, thank you. Like we get a new wave of listeners every single week now.
Yes.
It's really appreciated. If people enjoy the conversation, they think we're going to bring them value, like just give us a shout out. It massively helps. Doesn't it?
It really, really does.
We want to keep this going. We're really passionate about it. So
See the value in it.
If you can just WhatsApp it to a mate and say, listen to this, or put a little story up on your Insta so it reaches a bit of an audience. Like for us, that is absolutely invaluable.
Yeah, especially last week as well. Last week, it constantly keeps blowing my mind. But last week, the amount of time that I saw the post of hearing these guys for the first time, and I really like it.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that people are finding us for the first
in other
time.
industries now as well.
Yeah, that's it.
That's certainly, like we said from the very beginning, didn't we, that we weren't going to be just niching down into wedding photography. We wanted to kind of broaden that horizon because we see the value in it.
Yeah.
And people are it feels like people are starting to we're starting to get that audience now,
a little momentum.
which is great. We're not going to forget the wedding industry at all. Like we love it, but there's lessons to be had from other industries.
So much more out there, kids.
What a segue this is. Hence why
I was gonna
today,
bang the table.
hence why today we've got somebody that uses wood
Yeah.
in his in his daily business.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is I'm just going to get straight into it. So,
that's it.
James is here. I really want to call him Max.
Call him Max.
I've known Max.
I've started calling him Max.
I've known Max. I realised yesterday for 20 years now.
Is it 20 years?
20 years.
Wow.
And Yeah, and you've kind of moved recently into setting up a business called Timber Foundry.
Yes.
And
correct.
this studio that we're sat in front of now, Max came and did last winter, wasn't
We
it?
did, yeah. Sam
Built
made me
the
work
desk.
over Christmas to get it going. Which is a treat, but yeah.
Yeah, and ask for like loads of discount. Is that the best you can do, mate?
Yeah.
Mates rates at Christmas.
What, are you going to charge me VAT?
So we started in it was 2020, that magnificent year.
Yeah.
It was. I was working for a company which I always have previously. Before that, I never worked for myself. My career background was, obviously Sam and I worked together in the early days, didn't we? In the
shop floor.
What did you guys
shop
do?
floor. We worked at a place called Limey's in Derby, which was a bit of an institution, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was in terms of fashion and sort of lifestyle.
And we still talk about that when we we've kind of kept in touch, and we've kept in touch a bit more recently because obviously now we're both in business.
Yeah.
And every time we talk, we kind of go back, and we'll talk about it later on in the episode. But like sales and customer service just always seems to come up between us.
Absolutely.
Either a good experience or most notably bad experiences.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that is probably the biggest takeaway for probably both of us in those,
100%.
formative years have been like 19, 20, 21 of working on a shop floor that was kind of like high-end fashion, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But on a Saturday, we'd go in, there'd be 15 staff in a very small unit, and we'd do probably 30k in sales. And it was
In a day.
In a day, on a Saturday.
Yeah, it was crazy.
This is kind of like just before the internet really kind of took off. And
we sound old, man.
oh yeah, we do sound old. Yeah, I mean, I don't know
internet.
about you, mate, but we are. We're kind of getting there, aren't we? And,
Speak for yourself.
but it's like all of those things we picked up during that sort of 2-3 year period. Have really stood us in very good stead business wise going forward.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I remember my first day. The owner, Roger, great guy, and he took me into the office, and I think he did with everybody, and he sort of said like users.
I was wondering where that was
I
going.
know, so I didn't
Took me
think
into the office.
in my head I was like, oh, shit. But yeah, he said like users as a stepping stone, because we've got we are everyone in the UK knows our business. Like we've got really good standards. And I remember going down to London with sort of training buying days with sort of various brands, and there was lots of people there from different businesses, but you'd always see the staff and they'd be like, how's Roger, how's Dave? And it was just like they had such a good reputation, didn't they? And I kind of never knew what that meant at the time, but then sort of later on when I was applying for the jobs, and I went certainly after Limers and Cruise to the brand I was working for, like it was absolute godsend having that on my CV.
I mean, you could have been allowed to think, oh, what's this guy on about?
Yeah,
he's just saying that. It's just like hot air. But actually, it did kind of work out that way. You went to work for Paul Smith.
Yes.
And North Face.
Yeah. So I went for Paul Smith after Limers, which was
Only Paul Smith.
Only Paul Smith.
Yeah, which was great. It was like a natural progression. I sort of wanted to get out of retail into wholesale. And I guess, like anyone who doesn't understand wholesale, it's basically you're selling the collection of that brand to obviously stores or accounts sort of all over the UK. That was great, and sort of I think I was there 5 years, working sort of with international franchise customers, so people from like all over sort of the Middle East were coming over, who had Smithy stores over there, and then also independents in the UK, which was amazing. So again, taking that sort of Limey's element of service and building relationships was absolutely invaluable, because you were dealing with like sort of the top stores in the UK and abroad, trying to build relationships, sell the product into them. It was a really nice brand to work for, because it was Paul Smith is like an institution, isn't it? And its name, so it wasn't like high pressure selling. It was like quite organic. It was always like a very solid brand in the industry, so there was no real hard sell. But it was interesting, because it was my first kind of, like when I went for the first interview, I always remember, because there was hardly ever any jobs that came up, and I said to them in the interview, like, oh, like you do about progression. I still said, what was, what's the
Limers?
This is at Paul Smith. I said,
yeah.
like, what's obviously the progression opportunities? And they just shut me down. It was like, there isn't any. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was really like, and I sort of thought, okay. Sort of went on, and then I thought, when I get to the second interview, I need to like kind of rein this in a little bit. I can't go in there like, I want to do this, I want to do that. So I sort of mellowed it down.
I want Paul's job.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
I think one of the big things for me that I took from Limers was this idea that like you can like never judge anybody that walked through the door.
Yeah.
Like never assume or judge anybody.
No.
You don't know what background they're from. You don't know, whether they're going to spend £1,200 or £50, but it all matters.
Yeah.
And it's all relevant.
Yeah.
And just treat everybody with the same kind of level of kindness and manner. I can remember meeting Roger for the first time, and he walked through the door, and I was really kind. I greeted him really well, and I remember him saying to Luke, our manager, like Luke said to me, he said Roger was really impressed with how you greeted him. I didn't know it was Roger.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a customer, and he'd said to Luke that I came across really well and greeted him really really well, but I need to take those earrings out.
Yeah. He also loved your music choice, Sam, didn't he?
He
as
did,
well?
yeah. He used to, He didn't like the Arcade Fire.
He didn't like the indie or the Arcade
He
Fire.
came in once and ripped the CD out, the CD player. And whose is this?
Yeah.
It's like it's one of the best albums of 2003, mate. That's what it is, or whatever year that was.
It's
Neighbourhood?
Yeah. No, I was talking to. It's funny because I was talking to Rachel and
That was
Darius.
Funeral, wasn't it? Was it the album?
Funeral was a great album.
Incredible.
Yeah, I was talking to Rachel and Darius about when they came on because they did some photography for us pre-Christmas, and their ex-boss was one of my customers at Limeys.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so
you know when they were on,
we know him.
When they were on, I was like, I know who that is. I know who that is because there's obviously only so many brands in Derby for a start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was talking to them, and it was funny because I was sort of saying how we had customers at Limeys.
Yeah.
Because you had your own. I mean, I don't even know if that exists anymore. But like, particularly in a retail clothing environment, but like we had our customers that would come in, who you built a relationship up over years really, and would trust you to sell them.
Well, people would come in the store and you would know that that's James's customer,
100%.
because they would seek you out because you'd already built that relationship.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if that. It's kind of like an art form, isn't it? Whether that still exists.
Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps not so much.
Stores
these
like
days.
Limeys don't exist, but I suppose you do have places like. Does it exist in Selfridges and those kind of like high-end chains? I'm sure it must do to some level.
You need sort of like repetition in order to get that sort of like relationship going.
And I think it comes
surely.
because it was a small independent shop. Like I don't know if you get that in a huge brand because they can't.
Yeah,
it's a big wheel to get in motion, isn't it?
Yeah. It's hard to get that personal element unless you are
And you're
really
certainly not-
paying for it.
Yeah, and you're certainly not going to get it in high street fashion now because they don't pay enough, and they're just staff aren't interested.
No, that consumer element's changed as well because consumers are different. Like they probably don't want that as much. They're shopping online. Perhaps they've lost a little bit of that. So it's all changed, hasn't it? But yeah, sorry, going on a tangent, aren't we?
No.
No, this is what we do.
Yeah,
we haven't even introduced the podcast yet.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to another idea. We're a podcast.
For creatives and entrepreneurs.
You just want to level up their business.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go. What are we in, like 15 minutes in? I don't care.
It. No, but you were saying you were at Paul Smith and that sense of literally progression was sort of like blocked from the get-go in terms of the interview.
Yeah, it was strange because actually 2 years, I think it's a couple of years in, I started getting invited to meetings that were like design meetings in London, and it was only the country managers who were going, and I was like, why am I going to this? Like, kind of a bit strange really. Got like the person who runs Italy and France and the UK, obviously my boss, and I was there. But I didn't want to say, again, it was like a bit of a taboo subject, asking about progressing, because you got people that have been there for sort of 15, 20, 25 years who've never progressed because there just wasn't the opportunity. And yeah, I started getting invited, and I was going like, I remember texting my boss after a few months and saying, oh, thanks for, like getting me involved. And he was like, no, it's time to bring you, get. I was like, bloody hell, this is like, what's going on?
Get you
amazing.
Around the big
Yeah, I was like, Jesus. And then it just stopped, and I was like, okay. And then it was kind of my first experience of that, which unfortunately I think still exists. There was a bit of a kind of, it was a great experience and everyone there was great, but it was kind of a bit of a laddie sort of culture of friends progress and people, but it kind of was a bit strange in that sense. So a guy basically who'd left previously, hadn't gone, I don't know what had happened, but something had not happened with the brand he'd gone and left for. He'd come back, and then basically because he knew someone, basically took the role that they were kind of going for me. I was absolutely gutted. I was really, really gutted because I loved it.
Especially when you were already in.
Yeah, I was really, really gutted. And I had quite an honest conversation with my manager. He explained the situation and what had happened, which was good of him. And he was a good guy. Like, I learned a lot from him. He was great at, you go to big meetings with you know, like big stores like, you know, Selfridges and Harrods, and they'd be quite daunting characters, like from the fashion
You know, a lot of
industry.
money is in
Yeah,
there.
and it's like quite, and I'd be like, you know, really nervous, and he always really. I was saying to someone the other day, he was great at answering really difficult questions, like really eloquently, and he always gave a really good response, and he was very calm, and I learned a lot from him in those situations. But yeah, I had a really honest conversation with him. He explained there wouldn't really be anything, so it was kind of like, yeah, well, what do you do then? Do you want to just stay there for sort of 15 years, or do a job?
Like late 20s at this point?
Yeah, it's
Late
about
20s?
27, I think, something like that. It's about 27, maybe 28. And I was actually subsequently going through a bit of a change personally, where, you know, I lost, because when we were at Smithy, we were on expenses. So we worked half the year in London, half the year in Nottingham and travelling around. But everything was expensed, which sounds amazing. But it was quite a social lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So just like as per
Constantly
standard,
eating out.
you finish work, you
yeah.
go out, you eat out, you go and have a few drinks. You do that long enough, you put on weight. Well, I certainly did anyway. So I lost about. I got into training. I lost sort of 3 stone at the time, and I was kind of like, if I'm honest, being a bit of a recluse. And it was like at the end of the day, everyone was like, "Oh, we're going where?" And I was like, oh, "I'm just going back," and I was going for a run and just getting some food from Waitrose and cooking. And so I kind of was not in the same place. I mean, you know, it just didn't really fit with me personally as a lifestyle. So at the time, I'd met my wife at Portsmouth. She was really outdoorsy. I'd been spending a lot of time doing things outdoorsy with her. We started climbing together. I was running a lot. So it was like, well, let's see about working for an outdoor brand or something. So yeah, I just scout around, and fortunately managed to get an opportunity to join the North Face as a Northern account manager, which was basically a rep. So like I was looking after some independent, you know, stores from where I lived up to the Orkney Islands. And for the first like 3 years, I honestly, I was like, this is it. I love it. I'm absolutely, this is it. I'm happy. Like I don't need to.
It was a good fit.
It was absolutely unbelievable. Like they, you know, I was traveling northern Scotland, all these unbelievable places I've never seen. They had tie-ups with climbing centres that I was going and climbing with instructors up mountains, and like just having these unbelievable experiences that worked with the role. And then I was travelling to, they took us skiing every year to Chamonix.
They got any jobs
free. I know. I'm like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing? Yeah, it was just brilliant. And you know, we were climbing in Europe, and it just really worked as if you were into the outdoors as a role. It was just phenomenal. And then I got promoted, and I was working on sort of what the kind of called a key account, which was like a larger account, so you had less of them. You weren't travelling as much. But I sort of, because of my background, sort of, I guess, just naturally sort of went in that fashion direction. So I was managing some big sort of multiple accounts, which I enjoyed. It was great. But
you were seeking progression.
Yeah. But I guess like that kind of core sort of outdoor sort of lifestyle role was more based for that rep role. So I sort of it was more of a corporate role, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and then I got I sort of was thinking about this business, and I'd always made furniture like for friends and family and done bits and bobs in the shed.
How did that even start?
Yeah, it just randomly, really. Like my brother's a fabricator.
What is that?
And he does everything metal. Oh. He's really, really talented. He's an absolute godsend to the business, really. And he used to make stuff, and then I don't really know how it came apart, but I think we made a few things for family with wood and metal. And then one day I was like, we just need to do this, mate. Like, come on, let's just set something up. I'll set the business side up, because Nick wasn't, he's just worked in that environment for a long time. So in terms of business, and he'd say himself, it was just not his strength of setting it up as well. Obviously, my previous experience probably wasn't that strong in making things, really. I mean, I was okay, but it was more business background. So I set it all up. He was working from his garage in Derby. I was working from the shed. And then I got, just as I set it up, because obviously I was still at the brand at the time, and then I got promoted to work on a strategic account, which was quite high pressure, like reporting in Switzerland. A lot of big financial pressures, a lot of really difficult critical path stages that we had to meet. But then obviously the big he who shall not be named came in, COVID. And we I think about 80, it was about 80%, 85% of the workforce were furloughed. But because I was transitioning, Igor and I were speaking about it earlier, they said, oh, James can just do both roles while everyone's off. Like, and with no more money, which so that's great. So it was a bit, and obviously I just started Timber Foundry, so I was kind of managing this new account and then the old accounts and trying to balance Timber Foundry. So I kind of, and what it was like at the start, I didn't feel like posting or anything like that, because it was just like, it just felt too raw, and there was lots of stuff coming on all over the news. But then it just started bubbling away in the background, and I was like, God, what's going on here? Like, I'm not really pushing it. It was just on Etsy at the time.
And at this stage, you're sort of like doing what, chairs or
we were just literally
tables?
not a lot. We only had probably, to be honest with you, it was like a few coffee tables, a planter, and a couple of other bits and bobs. So it wasn't, I'd say like 10 products were on there.
Okay.
And I was trying to obviously get into this role, and then that happened, and I probably stuck the job out for a year with Timber Foundry, but it got to a stage where it was like, you need to just make a decision here. Like, you can't. I was working till 7 on my job, and then I was, by this time I'd moved out of the shed, much to the neighbours' delight, because it was like constant.
James is working again.
Yeah. We'd got only a little unit, just a small 5x5 metre unit, just nearby home, and I was just going up there at 7 o'clock, and I'd be there till like midnight, 2 in the morning, like, and it was just, to be honest, it took the enjoyment out of it, because you just didn't get a break. Weekends obviously constantly up there, and it got to a stage where Jo, my wife, was like, you just need to, because she's so supportive. She, I was earning like, good money, like really good money at the brand, and to go from that to say, look, this is what we're going to have to live on, because it wasn't as much.
It's a big call to make as well.
Yeah,
you've talked already a bit about how, like, you're obviously career driven, and you were like wanting progression. You're in a business that has got a big reputation. You've had a good experience with that business. You've worked for Paul Smith,
and clearly quite driven.
And when you've worked so hard to get to that, to then just turn your back on it kind of it's, I think there'll be a lot of people listening that are in this similar sort of position. They've like worked really hard throughout their career, thinking that they're going to sort of develop and grow into this, these roles, and you've had to kind of step back and go, no, this isn't for me anymore. Things have changed. I think you've done what I think a lot of people need to do. When we talk about like getting businesses off the ground, too many people just go, I just want to do something different, and I'm going to go and do that, and then you've built it up alongside your other job, which is bloody hard.
Yeah, it is.
But those hours are tough, but you put yourself in a position to be able to go, now we can step away and just focus on this.
Sam.
So, Igor.
Studio Ninja.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor. And I was wondering about what we need to say in this little section, because I really want to talk about just how vital it is to my business. And one thing that came up recently was, in my own business, was that I was thinking about whether I need to get a VA on board. Like, do I need somebody that's going to help me just perform some of the admin tasks? And when I looked at it, and it really boiled down to what do I need somebody on board for, I realised that I don't actually do much admin. And I don't do much admin purely because of Studio Ninja. Everything's automated. My invoices, my diary, my questionnaires that I send out,
email templates,
chasing up invoices. Everything's fully automated to the point where it doesn't take a huge amount of my time anyway. So it kind of defeats the whole point of a VA. So for me, it is a very integral part of my business. And I think when you're running a business, you're self-employed like we are, being efficient, being productive, making sure that things run in the right order. If you find yourself doing any kind of repeat task, you have to say to yourself, why am I repeating this?
Automate it.
And if you can automate it, then that's it. And that's really where Studio Ninja fits in with me and my business. And they have very kindly given us a discount code, haven't they, for this podcast? So what's that discount code, Igor?
Another idea.
And another idea gets you 50% off your first annual subscription. So it's just a no-brainer. I mean, I wouldn't even be hanging around. Just go and look at Studio Ninja.
Just go and do it right now.
But thank you very much, guys, for sponsoring this podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep it up.
We love Studio Ninja.
I'd say like advice, like not that I'm some kind of guru or anything, so I'm certainly not, but like what I found was essential was, you know, I was learning on the job, so like some of the stuff I was doing I hadn't done because you know, it wasn't my fault. I'd always worked for, you know, completely different roles, so it was like learn, just constantly learn, constantly push yourself to change, like make new things that you know that are out there, and then save some money. Like, you know, I was in a position where we had bonuses and things, and I'd made sure that there was money in the bank, that if I needed it, it was there. Because obviously, typically, when I left, we were flying. Honestly, I think it won't sound a lot of money to a lot of people, but for saying I was doing it on the side, I think we were turning, you know, between 12 and 15k a month, which was great. And I thought, bloody hell, this is fine. This is fine. Like I'll be fine. Like, you know, I'll probably be able to nearly pay myself what I was on. Like, and then I left, and it just died. It absolutely died. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just a quiet month. But it was that period of when everything was released, the lockdowns were gone, and they let everything open up. And I think people just, you know, weren't at home as much, and that sort of buying habit stopped.
But you had a reason at that point to turn yourself around and go, guys, can I have my job back?
Yeah.
You didn't. You stuck it out.
No, it's I definitely didn't want to do that. And I think you've just got to be like people. I certainly was naive. Like it was hard. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I'll be honest. Like, you've got to make sure you know.
I think anybody that's been self-employed for longer than 3 or 4 months will testify to that, won't they?
Yeah.
But it is inspiring, though, isn't it? Like, I'm looking at you here, Igor. Yeah. Like, just, you know, stepping away from a job that's got a good salary, good benefits. You know, you probably had a decent pension.
Yeah,
you
really
know,
good pension.
all good perks.
Yeah.
And you turn your back on it to go and stand in a cold shed.
I know.
And
it's crazy.
What a risk.
And saw wood.
Yeah.
But you've done it. And it's just grown and seems to be going from strength to strength.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like I said, I mean, I know people have touched on it before, but it's really hard. It's really hard, you know, particularly the first, I mean, we're in our second year. The first year, I count it, but it was like I was doing it part-time, so it's not, this is you know, we've had a first full year now. And we tripled the revenue, which was great. I mean, but again, I was doing it part-time, so it's kind of, you know, hard to read, but it's great. It's gone really well. We've been we sell furniture for, like, you know, house. We sell homeware. We sell garden planters. We sell garden tables, and then this commercial aspect of the business that we started really with here. Actually, really, if I'm honest, like we started here. It's just gone from strength.
I don't
to
want to
strength.
take any credit, but
the oracle. The oracle. Yeah.
What was the one about the planter? Was the planter one of the early things that you kind of started?
Yeah, so we were just basically going to do furniture.
We're talking about garden planters on a business podcast. I mean, we are just on another level.
I know. Yeah, like the whole purpose of Timber Foundry was we want to use repurposed materials, and we were just going to do furniture. So we were using like old whiskey barrels and things like that, and we were sort of planing them down and everything, making them look new, and just sort of recreating stuff. And then one day, my mum, it was start of COVID. She'd just done a garden, and she was like, I can't get a planter. Like, you know, when everything was sold, you couldn't get anything, could you?
Everything was sold out.
Gone. Yeah. Like, you go on B&Q and you had to wait. There was a timer that you had to wait before you could actually shop, and it was like 30 minutes. And then she was like, oh, I can't get a planter. Could you know, I want something. We had a chat. I said like, oh yeah, we could do this contemporary design, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, not one up. I was in the shed at the time, and put it in a garden, took a few photos, and it just went mad. Like, honestly, like, I put it on Etsy. I was saying to Igor earlier when we were chatting, somehow blagged it on, because I'm no SEO expert, but blagged it onto page 1. I don't know how we did it. And it's just started again. I remember being on Zoom calls and my phone would be beeping, and I'd be like, oh, sold again. And I'd be like, oh, it's gone again. And then like an hour later it'd go again. And I was like, oh God. And then, you know.
And you're still at No Face.
Yeah, I'm still there, yeah. And
probably thinking, I've got to make them now.
I was like, shit, I've got to get up there tonight. And, you know, Joe, I'm not going to be home again. And then it started bubbling away. And yeah, I mean, it's sort of, and it's still growing now. And I was saying, it's like, it's probably been at times like 80% of our turnover has been this one planter, which
That
is
is
crazy.
incredible.
But it's a it's a 6-figure product in terms of sales.
Yeah.
On its own.
And it just
which is
shows as well,
ridiculous.
because it's not something that you sort of like saw.
No,
It's literally
no, it's not. It's
Didn't-
not.
You couldn't have written,
you
couldn't have written that into your business plan.
And where would it be without it?
Yeah.
Ultimately, because
Thanks, man, Maxwell.
If I'm honest, like if I hadn't had that revenue from that planter, I don't know if I'd have still been doing it. I don't know, because it is,
And that's kind of allowed your business to grow. It's allowed you to pursue other product lines.
Exactly.
And it might not be like for your business, it might not be like the most glamorous of products.
No.
Like the prestige that you're going to get with like a fine dining table.
Yeah.
And we kind of joked about it being a planter, but actually like that product has allowed you to scale the rest of your business and to grow.
Yeah.
Has your mum taken commission for that?
No. Yeah, bless her. I did text her, like, because I don't think obviously I don't talk to her all the time about the business. We have chats and stuff, but she doesn't
realize.
She don't realize. I don't. You know what it's like. You don't reflect, do you? When you're busy, you just don't reflect enough on stuff.
Yeah.
And I was driving one day, and I was like, I can't believe that this planter's doing this. And I looked at the numbers, and I text her and I said, like, just to let you know, Mum, that planter that you asked me to make, we've spent this year £35,000 on wood for it, just on that one.
So how much is that planter? How much has it brought into your business over its lifetime?
It's hard to say, because we do obviously standard versions of it, which has been great, and then we do bespoke versions, so people ask for different sizings on it. Now we're doing commercial stuff. So I was saying again to Igor earlier, we're sort of trying to partner with a company at the moment that want someone to. They manage a lot of bars and restaurants around the UK, and they want someone to make the planters for, and they want us to do it. And fingers crossed it'll happen. But it's like huge numbers, like business changing numbers.
Yeah.
And it will allow us to keep growing and keep expanding and moving into bigger premises and having people working there.
Oh mate, it's amazing.
What would you do if something like that happened? Let's say that account, you get it. At the moment, you're working with your brother, right?
Yeah. So Nick does all the fabrication basically. He doesn't really get involved in the wood. All the commercial stuff we do together. But it's me, and then I have people who come in and work for us when we need
you
it.
do have those contacts already.
But I would, if we got that, I mean, because I know the numbers, we'd need to like expand basically into another unit, and would need to take someone on full time basically. Yeah. But that's how I just plan, like, as long as I know the numbers and I know it works, it's like keep investing and keep growing, like don't stop. Because
I think that's one thing that I've really admired from your business over the last year or two, since we've started talking more about business stuff, is that like you seem to know your limitations really well, and like even like just talk, and I mean that in a really positive way. In that, I remember having a conversation with you, 18 months ago now, about you were kind of saying to me, what can I do to take better photos of these products, and you sent me a photo of your space. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is going to be hard. And he's got no space. Yeah, you've got like a white paper backdrop in there that was a bit naff and a bit tatty. And we're looking at like what's the best form of light you can get in there, like some cheap LED lights from Amazon. And I was like, mate, it's just going to be really hard. Like you're not going to get to that level. And fast forward, where we are now. And again, this is another really admirable skill of yours, is that like you've listened to this podcast, you listened to one of the very first episodes with Ben, and you were like, I remember you texting me saying you took loads away from that episode. Yeah. But you've also worked with Jess, who was on here.
Somerville.
Jess has done your brand images, and you've also outsourced the product photography now to Rachel and Darius at Studio 74.
Yeah.
Because you can sort of see that, well, actually, it's going to cost me a bit of money. Yeah. But actually, what's going to come back around is far greater than that.
Yeah,
investment.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you just can't do it all, right? So like, I mean, it's a big, particularly working with Rachel and Darius, it's a big investment, like, for us as a small business. We had to make a whole range in stock, and I think by the end it was about 18 to 20k just to get that. Not with them, but just to make
the actual product.
Get it down to Nottingham in 2 vans. We've got to set it all up. We've got people there.
Get a studio.
It's 20 grand,
Yeah.
like, and it's a big investment.
You sent me some WhatsApps of the early images. I was like, hey, they are just on another level now.
Yeah, that's it. And they were great. Rachel and Dad, like really, really lovely people. Definitely recommend them to anyone, and we'll definitely be working with them again. But yeah, they did a cracking job. But it was just, again, like, and without that quality of imagery, we wouldn't be getting these commercial contacts looking at our website, looking at photos I've took on my iPhone. They probably wouldn't be coming to us and saying, oh, can you do this and can you do that? So yeah, it's invaluable.
So I think people
really
are scared to make that investment, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's daunting.
Yeah.
You don't know.
God,
People can
hugely.
say to you, oh, but it is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You've just got to do it. Obviously, if you've got to get the money in there, but we're fortunate. Like I said, we have that planter revenue that's always coming in. That now this commercial revenue that does, as we were saying earlier, Igor, like allows me to be a little bit more flexible with what we're doing and spend a little bit more in certain areas. So, but yeah, it's just getting that balance really.
Do you ever see that changing in terms of like niching down to specific
products?
Yeah. Rather than just the planter, or I guess here's a better way of saying it. Sort of like rather than going volume based.
Yeah.
Niching down to specific products that that you would sell in terms of like high revenue.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a couple of different elements to it where we could split the business in three, really. So we could have planter or garden website, we could have furniture website, we could have commercial website. But then also, in terms of like the product mix, I think we were chatting earlier, weren't we, about when we started, we were probably doing more on furniture in commercial styles. So we were going after volume a little bit more. The problem is that there's so many people doing it, like so many. And a lot of people, a lot of furniture businesses in the UK buy their steel legs from one supplier. So they're all the same, exactly the same, just different wood tile, basically. But customers don't know that because it's just, they're just seeing it on different websites.
So depending on your branding and depending on your brand, really, price is going to be completely different.
Yeah,
whereas
absolutely.
the product is pretty much the same.
Yeah, as well. Nick obviously makes everything for us.
That's like a pretty big myth that's just been blown out of the water, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, they do. I won't mention the company, but they do a product really, really well that they've sold. They were the founders of a table leg, but they do all these kind of box section steel legs as well. But like, you can get a trade account, and honestly, it's probably 90% of the business the companies doing that style buy from them. So they're all the same. But yeah, we kind of got stuck a little bit in that kind of commercial trap of wanting to go after that kind of style that people really, really wanted. But you get pulled into battles on pricing, and because we use up fully sustain. I mean, all our woods is reclaimed from a restoration. A guy who demolishes buildings, basically. So it's old roof beams, and we get them as roof beams.
Wow.
And we have to mill them. It's more work than buying timber.
Why do it that way?
Just because it was kind of what we set, the principle of like what we set up is like we want to be as sustainable as we possibly can be.
Amazing.
And there is no, it's like you can see other brands and they say like, we've got this reclaimed wood from Indonesian washed up water on the beaches, and it might be true. I don't know, but like, but you don't know, do you? Like, is it how much wood's washing up on these beaches? I don't
Bougie
and they're selling it in volume, so it's like, but I can't be any more honest than like say, come and look at a roof beam in the workshop. It is what it is. It's reclaimed. It's we're not buying new timber. Completely lost where I was going with this, but so from a pricing perspective, it's a lot more work with how we make tables. We've got to make sure they're dry enough because woods can move as soon as it goes in someone's centrally heated home. If it's not at the right optimum, if it's too wet, it'll move, it'll split, it'll crack. So there's all that.
You've got to acclimatise it.
You've got to repair it, so it might, but then you don't want to repair it too much. So every single piece is completely different. Like you can't, it's not uniform. Like you get it in, you go, right, I need to do that. It's all different. So there's loads of work in it. Obviously the steel is all UK forged steel that we use, and Nick fabricates it for us. So we can't really compete at that level that we were trying to compete at, is what I'm saying, I think. And when we did the stuff for Rachel and Darius, it was like, I was just kind of like, well, you know what, let's just do stuff like completely different. And again, when we were going back to that revenue piece on commercial and planters, it allows us to do that because we can have a little bit of fun with it. And obviously we want to sell it, like 100% we want to sell it. But I just think like, it's so much stuff the same. Like, why not just try and do something completely different? So we did.
And you have to remind yourself what happened with the planter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you gave it a try, you tried it, and look where it went.
Yeah, exactly. Some of these styles that, we know we're not going to sell them in volume, but they're like halo pieces. People will look at it, and we've invested money in making it, but people will look at it and be like, wow, like look at that. There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely different.
And that sustainability as well, and those halo pieces, they're ultimately what's like that combination of. It's not just one thing, is it?
No.
It's the branding and the imagery that you've invested in. It's those investment pieces that you have decided to give a shot on. It's the complete. It's the sustainability. It's all of those things that tie together that ultimately separate your business from just a run of the mill.
Furniture place.
Furniture place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's not easy doing it. Like I said, like more work. More expensive. Like it's not. You'd think the wood. Buying it from Roof Beams, it'd be like, you'd be getting it for $5 or something. That's what people probably presume, but it's not. It's more than the new wood that you buy. Longer work. Like, we're not just buying legs in. Nick's making them from scratch. Yeah. So all these processes that just,
Any pieces that you've absolutely loved creating, or pieces that customers were just blown away and you just loved the whole experience of it, really?
Yeah, I love doing stuff that won't sell. I love making stuff that's just like so wacky that people like just be like, what is that? Like, so we did like, my brother hates me because I'm very much like the creative, like I kind of like get ideas and I'm like, right, just put them down a piece of paper, like, Nick, we need to make this, and he's very like engineering minded, like cutting to the millimeter perfection, wants it all on a CAD drawing, and like there's me like, Nick, I'm back for fag packet, like we need to make this. But we made a couple recently, which was like a steel rebar base table that was like is traditionally used in like concrete, the steel bars they put in concrete, some really chunky ones, and we angled them at a certain angle, which makes them look like they're kind of almost bent, like it's a bit deceptive. And then it had like a really nice walnut top with glass in the middle, which again, it's just really different. Basically, there's nothing like it.
So you literally got four mediums there.
Yeah. Basically, it's just like fusing all these things together. And then there was another one which was based, and Nick hated making this, but it was based on like a branch that fell from a tree. So like the base was steel, but it had all these kind of bits that were kind of random, like just as long as it supported it perfectly, but they were all kind of random pieces coming off that looked like twigs and everything. And then we put like a massive walnut top on that. So it's just like, but I love making those sort of things. Like it's just really cool, like really cool.
And they're like they're attention grabbing, aren't they?
Yeah. But like I said, people see them and
separate you again from the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. And people see it and they're like, oh, wow, but they're not cheap because they take like a lot of time. And like the walnut is probably like the most expensive timber there is at the minute. It's not cheap, but it's kind of a different consumer, isn't it?
I think already in this chat, Igor, it's like the standout points for me straight away are like just how hard it is to get a business off the ground. Like never take it lightly and just assume that it's just like effortless. I've got this idea, I'm going to just give it a shot and see what happens. It's bloody hard. But also just like the importance of just taking that risk.
Yeah.
Like no one really knows today.
No.
Like you don't know.
No.
Where it's going to go. All you can do is kind of come up with a bit of a plan, execute it to the best of your ability, work hard at it. You've obviously got that work ethic and that drive. And just kind of hope for the best.
Absolutely. I mean, what
And then just I think like the plants is a prime example. Really, it's just recognizing when you've got something that's going to work and just dialing it up. I think when we talked about pillars as well, that made me think of like Ben's episode. He talked about the pillars of his business, didn't he? And I think we've all come away from that one and gone, I've got these pillars in my business. I'm going to try and separate them out a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
No one knows, do they?
No, you really don't.
If anyone out there has got it all figured out, please do let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good. It's like I always think like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like I know like people, there's a lot of people, isn't there, in jobs that are comfortable and they do worry that if they did it, but what's going to happen? Like you're going to get another job.
You're as likely to be made redundant as you are your business to fail. So
Yeah.
I'd rather give a shot at my own business than be laid off by somebody.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Can we talk about customer service?
We can,
Let's go into customer service because
Yeah.
I'm itching it. I'm chomping at the bit with this.
because
one.
of our old chats about.
Well, no,
lives.
I just think it's a side of a business that so often gets neglected or just overlooked, and I think we kind of take it for granted what we do as businesses. Like, I think we've all got a good level of customer service, but like, you know, I don't think they're going to listen to this podcast, but we've had our kitchen done recently, and once I paid them money and I paid for the kitchen, that the customer service has gone out of the window. They don't respond, they don't answer. You're like, it's only little things, but like,
It all compounds and it creates an experience.
we all walked for
mouth.
coffee, didn't we, earlier?
Yeah.
And we walked down the road. It was like a 10-minute walk, and there's a sign on the door saying, you know, closed today for staff training. It's like, it was closed the other week on a Monday randomly, and you're like, that's put me off a little bit. I remember you talking to me a year or so ago about going into a timber yard.
Oh yeah.
And just being like, I think you said to me, I just can't believe how rude they are.
Oh mate, you would not believe timber yards. Like if I had enough money to start a timber yard, you just clean up.
How much do we need to start a timber
A
yard?
lot. A lot. Yeah. It's but going back to that point on the tradesmen and stuff, I always think like it's just a case of them not having that experience you've had.
Yeah.
Like they haven't had that interaction with different people that can make them like almost like a social chameleon, talk to people differently, understand service. It's just not their background, is it? And they probably don't even think they're doing anything wrong necessarily. But when you're used to providing that service yourself, it really is, you know, evident, isn't it?
Yeah, I think me and Murder talked about it yesterday in the office briefly. We were talking about how, like, you know, your customer service has to be at that level throughout every single touch point of the customer journey. It can't just be there when you want the money.
No.
It's got to be there after you've delivered the product, or even if you're not available. It's like, even if I think of like, if I get an inquiry, like 9 times out of 10 I'll always try and go back to them and say, look, I'm really sorry I'm not available, but have you tried these guys? You know, always thinking like, can I give them a good experience, so that they might go away and go, oh, this guy wasn't available for us, but he looked great and he came across really well. Because you just never know, do you?
There's got to be an element of care there that surpasses that sort of like, I don't know. You got to care for it. You got to be passionate about what you're doing and actually care for your customer in order to kind of like get that experience really across. Because otherwise, it just doesn't.
You just get found out sooner rather than later, don't you?
Because if you're doing it just simply solely for the money, it's literally your experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
As soon as it lands in the bank account, see ya.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think there's so much talk these days of like SEO and paid ads and various other technical details, which are obviously really important, don't get me wrong, but service for me is like you said, it's almost like it's become slightly overlooked. I don't know, because I mean, we get so much repeat business just from being like providing a good service, you know, giving them just everything really along the journey. And it's hard when you've got a commerce business on your own, because like, I guess like sort of it's hard to switch off. And you know, like for example, customers sometimes shop in the evenings, right? And they'll be on your website and they'll be sending messages, and it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But if you don't respond, like you've lost that customer, really. And that's really hard with that life balance. But certainly for the first, as you're getting it off the ground, you need to be all over that. And you need, you know, customers, some of them are very impulsive. So they might see something, oh, I really like that, but they might have a question and they want to ask you at that point at 9 o'clock, and then they might buy. If you don't go back to them, like the next day, they're at work, they've forgot, they've moved on, or they've bought something else. So it's really difficult. But yeah, we always try and like, it doesn't matter how busy we are, but we try and go back to people like within, you know, 30 minutes all the time. So if it's me, if I'm on site, maybe Joe will do it, or Nick might do it. And then like providing the aftercare as well, so making sure the customer's aware of like care instructions for products, delivery, you know, making sure they're having, we do a lot of deliveries ourselves in our van, but giving them, you know, time slots, giving them texts when we're nearby, making sure we carry it in, set everything up for them, have a chat, you know. And you get repeat business, you just naturally get
like
business
personal
from it.
DPD.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, we've talked about whether you have to outsource that at some point, but it's really hard to then.
It's hard. It is hard.
Get that,
especially
level
with
of
Word.
customer
It's
service.
heavy, and you pay by weight, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For us, like we've tried we have tried outsourcing couriers. Unless I'm missing something, it's really hard. Like if you're delivering a table, that's
I made
100
the kids
kilograms.
watch. I made the kids watch Ace Ventura: Pet Detective last night, and it's where he's delivering that glass parcel at the beginning of the film, and he's just kicking it down the corridor. It's just like, just made me think of that. Sorry, went off on one, but
brilliant.
But you do, but like, how important is it, like, to deliver that level of service, like all the once, not just once they've made the sale, like not just once you've made the sale, like beyond that.
Yeah.
You know, how vital is it? I mean, I know you talk about repeat custom, but surely it's just about providing a good experience, full stop, for that customer anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
without the motive of going, we're going to get some repeat custom from this.
Yeah, it's just standard, really. And yeah, to be honest, we check in on people. Like, I always try and, because we do build relationships, particularly with, we're not selling furniture at a volume that it's just flying out the door, left, right, and centre, being completely transparent. And so when we do sell, like, it is like a personal journey, really, from the customer. We do a lot of bespoke stuff. So a customer might come to us with an idea. So we have a long chat with them. Then we go away, we'll CAD it up and do some renders for them. They okay it, then we make, we deliver it ourselves. So they're meeting the people. I've had loads of, like, particularly in London, we get a lot. And people are like young couples as well. And they're like, it's really nice to just like meet the person who's made it and like have a chat. And they're like, we've tried, we looked at other companies, but it just was very robotic in responses and, information coming back. So has
anyone ever made you carry like a 50 kilo piece of timber up 3 flights of an industrial unit before?
There was this one guy. I said to Igor, I did not miss those steps.
That was challenging. People won't see it on this shot because it's in the
you're
studio.
Right, you're right.
No, I wasn't. I was behind you. Just check. Are you okay, James? Are you okay?
Because we literally arrived at the same time, and I was thinking, you coming up these stairs with
all those plans. It was the table. I was on about the table when I was the desk. The desk is a meaty piece, isn't it?
Yeah, you do. You get that a lot where you can put it on your website as much as you want about, please let us know if there's any access, special access requirements, or it's on and it's like you buy it and then you turn up and it's like, oh, okay, it's up there. It's like 10 floors, doesn't fit in the lift. So yeah, we get that quite a lot, but yeah.
My notes have gone to sleep, Igor. So I'm like, hold on 1 second, Max. We don't normally cut bits out.
No,
sorry.
No, that's good. Anything that you sort of like thinking of investing in your business at the moment? Because obviously you've built it to a really good standard. You should be rather proud of it because, it's from someone looking afar, at least me and meeting and everything else. It's good going. You've built something that you should be rather proud of. But is there something that you really want to invest in at the moment for the business in order to just grow?
I guess the next thing for us, Sam and I were talking about this morning, it's probably like more of the advertising, because we just don't do anything really. We have it, which is, amazing really that we've managed to get to where we are. But as you know, it's like becoming more and more difficult, like social media, the algorithms, it's like you put products on there, it's not being seen by hardly anybody. So the natural thing for us is investing in that ads, but it's a space I'm not massively familiar with. I think we were chatting about it,
isn't it?
Yeah, and I've had a go at doing it myself, and I can do it to a standard, but I'm nowhere near an expert. So that's kind of for us the next point, to kind of get someone in, or look at an agency basically to sort of outsource that to. But it comes with big investment, and it is big. And unless you get, I always think people, because I've had conversations and they're like, we've had a return on investment of 8 on this product, and it's like a product that's 25 quid. And it's like but it's that you would buy that impulsively. I always think I always think with Facebook, like it's never really in the early days before the iOS updates that they had, it was a great source of revenue for us with posting, and then that came in and it just died. And we do a little, I mean, we get really good engagement and everything, and some of the reels we've done more recently have had for a small business, have had great reach, but we don't get lots of business from it. But I always think if you've seen a table on Facebook at, I don't know, £1,000 say, it's not, again, you might have a look at it when you're scrolling, but
you take 50 quid for it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah. So I think it's very different it's hard to gauge because.
So how do you find your customers at the moment? What sort of like driving business in?
Just organically from the website, from SEO. We started on Etsy. It was really hard to read because of the pandemic, and Etsy had a massive spike. Like we were getting, 2,500 visits a day organically on Etsy on our store, which was just, it's gone right down now. Obviously, you're down to sort of 500-ish. So we did that, and then we started our website about a year ago, and it's really interesting to see it because it's organically sort of now outselling Etsy, which is amazing because Etsy, if anyone thinks Etsy are like, it's a great marketplace, but the fees, honestly, you wouldn't believe. So you can be, sometimes we've had situations where we've sold something and lost money on it because we can't because they've took that many fees. So they charge you when you get to a certain volume of sales, you automatically get enrolled into their Google Ads program. So if they sell a product through Google Ads, it's I might get this wrong. It's I think it's 12.5% fee just for that ad. Then you've got your seller's fee, which I think 6.5%, and then there's various other little bits and bobs. So by the time you look at it, it's massive. Yeah, it can be more. So it can be a bit of a killer on margin. So yeah, it's nice to see the website. And actually, I said to Joe the other day, I was like, I just feel like turning it off, like Etsy, because it does drain you.
But you're just working towards that next stage, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's served its purpose. It's done really well for you.
Yeah.
But maybe in 6 months, 12 months, 18, whatever, it might be time to start going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you still sell the planters through Etsy, or is it through your website?
Through both, really.
Through both,
yeah, through both. And it is good. Like a lot of people have seen stuff on Etsy, then they'll come to us direct, because they understand, the challenges on Etsy. But it has got a good reach ultimately. They do. That's what you're paying for. Yeah. So you're almost using it as a marketing thing, and you're making sure the prices reflect the charges, essentially.
I think the big takeaway for a lot of people listening here is that we're talking about Etsy, we're talking about Facebook and your website, is that it's just like the landscape's always going to shift. It's up to you as a business owner to adapt and to shift with it, and to realise where you need to pivot and move to, and where your customers are going to find you, whether you have to pay for that, whether it's organic, whether it's worth your time or not worth your time. You're constantly making those decisions, aren't you?
And it's hard as well to there's so many different demographics of people, and I know you guys talk a lot on social media, and obviously we get people, but we also just get people who see us and they just buy. They're not bothered about the brand. No, I don't mean that in a bad, but they just see the products, they like it, and they buy it. So it's such a mix to know where to put your money. Like Google Ads, is probably, we don't do a lot on it at all. I think we've got a really small spend at the moment, but it does bring people, because people go on shopping, they're looking for something to buy. So if they type in table, they're looking for a dining table, as opposed to Facebook.
And this is where now, for you as a business, having those halo, you kind of refer to them as like a halo piece, and also brand imagery that backs it up. Instantly, like when people are scrolling on that feed, they're like, "Oh, hold on, this stands out. It's not shot on an iPhone and it's at a warehouse."
Really good standard, and it's quite unique. Oh, I like how that.
Yeah, they might not buy that product, but it gets them in.
Yeah, it just shows them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So as where Facebook's, I think people scroll and they might see something, but they're not necessarily looking to purchase. So Google Ads seems to be for us the kind of way to go forward, I think. Yeah.
Are you have you managed to avoid eating Nutella off a spoon in January?
No. It's not going. It's not going well, mate. I'm not gonna lie. I had
how long did you last?
I think it was pretty much that night. I think that I sent you the
put it on your form,
didn't you?
You put it on your form that you've managed to avoid eating Nutella off a spoon.
I hate it when it's in the cupboard.
I'm having it on that one.
It's so Moorish though, right? I don't know if you guys.
No, we constantly have in the house because our little girl, she absolutely loves it. Pancakes and Nutella on the side.
It's the biscuit for me. It's like crack cocaine.
Oh mate, I'm terrible with sweet stuff. I really am. But yeah.
So, where do you see the business going?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because I've got a plan, but it just changes.
He has a plan.
Okay, guys. It just changes. I never thought it'd be so big towards garden. I kind of planned the commercial thing, but it kind of happened quicker than I'd anticipated. I think that stream for us is going to be the next kind of the next real growth driver, because like when we were chatting earlier,
you guys did a lot of chatting, didn't you?
Yeah, we
did. Yeah.
I was probing.
Yeah. But yeah, the revenue stream there is big, and there's some good contracts there that we're talking to people at the moment. So that'll just allow us, again, like we were saying, it just allows us to have freedom of what we do in other areas, really. So it's whether or not we split the business, not split the business, but we have, I think the website, if I'm honest, is becoming not confusing, but there's a lot of stuff on there. There's a lot, there's a lot of categories, from tables, coffee tables, they've got our own lighting, we've got planters, we've got garden furniture, and you've got commercial stuff. So there's a lot on there. So it's whether or not we say, right, okay, let's have these websites that just focus on that, and just do that. And also it's difficult in one location to make, if we sell like, I don't know, say we sell 20 planters in a week, and then you throw a couple of dining tables in, you can't do them at the same time, because you've got to, we spray varnish everything. If you're cutting planters, you've got dust flying around, it's really difficult. It's a real juggling act. So just kind of like focusing on what we want to do and how we want to do it. And I think splitting it may be the answer. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And I don't think you ever know until you do it.
No,
I think like from our industry, that the similar parallel would be when you see photographers showing that they're a wedding photographer, but they also do families and they do
commercial work.
Commercial work.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
they're quite jarring, aren't they?
Yeah.
If you go to that as a consumer,
you literally get to a landing page and you've got wedding, commercial, portrait.
I think for you,
you click on the one. I think
for you,
go down the rabbit hole.
I'm not sure I'd split out the homeware. I think homeware and garden kind of would work together. I think the commercial stuff I would definitely separate. I don't think anybody that's looking for an office for a coffee table is going to be like looking at your commercial work and think that's kind of a distraction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But it's just the next stage, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And I think like the commercial, like having a commercial website and shit, particularly now because we're getting a bit of a catalogue of stuff we've done, and I think there's such a market. I mean, there's certainly people who do commercial. But a lot of it's kind of very standardized. So like when we were chatting about your glass, for example.
The amount of comments I get on the studio.
Yeah, it is true.
Oh, great.
When they come in.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm like, I did it myself.
Carried it all up.
Yeah.
But you go to a company and they'd be like, yeah, we can put glass over it, but it would be like a glass door frame that is, supplied everywhere. So everywhere, they're all the same. They buy it in, they fit it. So I can remember Nick coming again. Oh, we'll just make that for you. Yeah.
He's like, okay, great.
Yeah, and that's why Nick is like absolutely invaluable, because I mean, even when we were chatting and I remember coming down the first time and you were like, yeah, I want to put a roof in here, and I was standing there going, fuck it, what? Like, what's what? I was thinking, I'm going to do that and get a roof up there, and then Nick comes in and he's just like, because he's done so many commercial fits, for like big places in London, he's manufactured the stuff. So his mind he'll come in and it'll just be like, that
can see it.
That needs to be like this. And I'm just like, all right, there you go.
Yeah.
You sort that, Nick, bless him. And he's great. But yeah, I think like we're working in Derby this week with the guys at Aim True Brands who do Man Cave and Six Ways. And Alex was the same. He came here, and I knew Alex from Limers and Cruise days. And he rang me and said like, oh yeah, we kind of want to replicate something similar to Brickwork. So we just sort of designed it for him, and he had it, and it's bespoke.
Thieving bastard.
Yeah.
In my head, I was thinking, Sam's not going to like that.
It's exactly the same. Exactly the same word.
But no, that's amazing.
I was going to ask him on the podcast, but now he can. I'm joking.
Yeah, it's just like, but it's giving that bespoke element to what people want. Like, we're not standardized. We're not going to come in and say, yeah, we'll build this and we'll use that. It's like, well, actually, do you want the glass like this, or do you want the metalwork? We've got the ability, because of my brother, with what he does, is just to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how creative you want to get and how wacky you want to get. And I don't think there's many businesses like that. And we're finding that in the commercial sector. Yeah. Like I was talking to you about that desk that we're working on at the moment, which is like for an architectural firm. And it's huge. It's this huge kind of birch plywood desk, which has come with its own challenges in sourcing. The Baltic birch comes from Russia. So since the war, nothing's come into the country at all because of the sanctions. So we did all the all the designing and all the pricing.
And
I
then
went to get it, and I'm like, oh, you haven't got any. I went round the net. Oh, you haven't got. Oh no. So that was a bit of a stress. But anyway, we sorted that.
I mean, you say big desk, it's like 9 meters.
Yeah.
So,
it's quite, and it's a very interesting shape. But it's like something completely like. It's just there's nothing
what a
like
project.
it. It's exciting. It's like it's great.
Project.
Any sign of going back to the corporate world? Max, sitting behind a desk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't, you know, like I said, I had some great experiences. There's nothing I regret.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, we all have wobbles, don't? I mean, sometimes I have wobbles. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's just because I think it was the guys who were on from Able and lovely guys.
Yeah,
like,
Cat and Ash.
Yeah, very envious of where they live as well. And they were saying like the easiest thing is just to get a job. And there's times where, you know, you've got to be like relentless, particularly those early years, because if you're not, like, there's always someone in there like trying to outwork you or do more than you, and you've just got to work, and it might come at like, unfortunately, like you've got to sacrifice family time or your friend time and things like that, but you've got to do it. And it's not like I said about being a little bit naive at the start. Like I probably didn't realise. I thought I'd probably have more time at home, but actually the reality is, even though I'm only 5 minutes from home, I don't. But you know, it comes with its own benefits, doesn't it? Like I said to you, I managed to get, you know, 3 weeks off at Christmas this year. Like I had last year, I had. I mean, I worked for it, but I had like a lot of little van holidays in our little camper van, and one of them, you know, I was just able to go, you know what, let's just stay another week. Like those little things that you just don't get.
The flexibility of it, isn't it?
Yeah. But like, I don't regret. Like the corporate stuff was great. Some of the roles were brilliant, and like, I learned loads from them. So never say never, but like at the moment, like fully focused on this and trying to drive this.
If you were to start again, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah, I'd have probably done it with someone else, like as well. I think because it's a lot of work. Like UK manufacturing, like one person is, you know, it's a lot of work for one person, like a lot. And you know, you're getting deliveries of massive just even like moving things around. Like, you know, it's things you don't think about. You know, got to make stuff on your own. It's just a challenge. I probably would have linked up with someone, I think, from at the beginning and done that. I'm not saying that has to be the case in every industry. It just depends, doesn't it? But in my industry,
like, you don't know that until you won't have known that until you were in the situation
where you can actually have someone in.
And you have to figure that out.
No, exactly. So
imagine two of you in the shed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's warm in here, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, I had some great help. Like, I've got a friend, Greg, he's a chef at one of the Chatsworth pubs, and obviously when everything shut down, like hospitality was just gone, wasn't it? I mean, it was like he was off for over a year, but he was an absolute legend. I'd go up to work at like 7 o'clock, knowing that I'd be there till 2, and he'd just turn up and like he worked for free. He never asked for anything. Like he'd just come up and he'd just help and like do. And I looked at photos the other day actually, and there's like in our old unit, which was a small sort of box unit, and he's like on the floor, and it's literally just wood everywhere, planters stacked everywhere, and he's just on the floor like drilling, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's crazy. So yeah, I probably would have certainly started it with someone else or got someone in a little bit earlier maybe, but it's hard because you're building it, you know, your money's got to come in, you've got to be turning over a certain amount to do that. So it's a real balancing act. So yeah,
I just think it's really admirable that you've made that leap, and that you had every right to turn around and go, no, this isn't going to work, or like you found that you hit a rough patch within the first month or two, and you stuck it out, and you've just you've not gone out all guns blazing, just slowly but surely, just building each year, reinvesting. I can remember you saying to me last year, like you'd spent 5 or 6 grand on some sort of industrial kit, and it was just like, that's just gone now. But actually, you know, this is you all, you know, through and through. Is that you kind of then caveated that with, but it's going to allow me to do this. You know, like you've invested in your photography, but it's going to allow you to do this. There's always like a reason for it. And your business it's just really going from strength to strength, but at a nice steady pace. It's just I'm just looking forward to seeing where it goes over the next sort of 2-3 years.
Cheers. It's good. It's exciting. I think like with you saying about buying things, and like that was a benefit of obviously working. Like when I was working, I didn't rely on any money, so I'd take jobs on that were probably we didn't have things that we needed, but that would allow me to get that. That was always the plan. So we take work on, and then I think we were saying earlier, Igor, it's a bit, I'm terrible for saying yes to things, but like if jobs come in that are very complicated, a lot of people are just saying, no, I can't do that. But I'm just like, yeah, we'll do it. And then we'll figure it out and we'll do it. And it's just, and the amount of learnings you get from doing that. And I'm not saying it's probably not always the right thing to do at all, but I've learned so much from taking on projects that that come in and I've gone, right, okay, how are we going to do this? And then me and Nick will sit down and we'll slowly but surely plan it out, work it out, and then we'll get on, and then it's like, oh, it's done. Amazing.
I think we can relate to that, can't we? Yeah. Photographers, you know, like you say yes to jobs that you're like, can I do that? I've got a lot of work that month, but I'm going to do it. Or commercial work comes in when I've got 3 weddings on the weekend. This is 5-6 years ago now, but those situations teach you something, don't they? And
they really do.
You just have to kind of refine the process, don't you, over the years, and hopefully get to a stage where you can start to go, I don't need to do that work anymore, I'm going to focus on this now. But you do have to work hard, you have to say yes to everything and just give it a shot.
Absolutely.
And I think the studio is a perfect example of it, really. Now you're doing a similar project, and I can see many more coming, really. So it just shows.
Yeah, that's it. It's great. I think, again, like linking back to the customer service, it's, as we're talking about tradesmen, I think that again gives us an extra benefit because we're providing like a really strong service when these commercial clients are getting involved. And we go back to the woodyard conversation, and like the service is like, you wouldn't, like recently I went to we ordered some timber, and it was like for a special thing, and it was like I don't know, 2 or 3 grand, I can't remember exactly. So a lot of money, and it was a first purchase with this woodyard, and it all came in, and it was really bad, like it was all bowed and it was all cut. So I spoke to the guy, couldn't re-deliver it like until a week later, which was just too late. So I drove up to, I won't say where it is, but I drove up north and I said, look, I'm going to come and change it. Is that okay? He said, yeah, just see this guy in the hardwood shed. So I drove up, and I got there and there was no one there. So I rang this sales guy, and he's like, oh, he's on his lunch. And I said, I'm like, okay.
A 3-hour lunch.
I'm like, okay, is there anyone else who could come out? He's like, I'm going to try and ring him. I'm trying to ring him. So I'm like walking around. I was really rushing, and I had to go to Manchester after. And I was like, where is this guy? I'm like walking around. Then I saw another guy, and he's like, oh yeah, he'll just be sat in one of these cars down here. He won't get out till his lunch is done. I'm like, all right, okay. So I'm like looking in these car windows, like, and then about like literally, I was there for like 45 minutes, stood there, and then all of a sudden this door opens, this car, and he's like, comes out, and he's like, hey, oh, you all right? I'm like, yeah, just come to swap. Oh, right, yeah. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I need to crack on.
Brilliant.
But that's what it's just that. It's just that's how it is. Like, but. It's like dealing with those situations and not getting stressed, just accepting, like, what are you going to do about it? Like, you just got to deal with it. So, for me.
We love to finish the podcast with the good old question of, if 14-year-old James Maxwell, if you met him, what sort of advice would you give him at that sort of stage?
I mean, I'm expecting a good one here because Max listens to the podcast. I know
he knew this was coming.
No, but you don't always ask that, do you?
Well, you haven't listened to it recently, have you?
I have. 3 months,
obviously. This is awkward. No, it was only Cat and Ashes.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But anyway, there's the question.
14. Geez, I was a very different person at 14. Mm-hmm. What would I do differently? I know what I'd do. Like, in fact, I thought this morning as I pulled into Derby Rugby Club, I said, as I pulled in, I was like, I haven't been here since I was probably actually 14. I was playing for Derby, and I was with a lad at school, and I was like imagine Deirdre Barlow in glasses. That was me as a kid, like proper, like not sporty, like very, that kid who stood in the middle of the football pitch and like couldn't kick the ball. That was me. But then as I got older, like me and another lad at school shot up, and we got invited to train at Derby anyway, during Derby. And a Leicester Tigers scout came up to us and was like, will you come in the summer for like a trial? Because these kids have been playing all their lives and you've only just started. And I didn't go. So I probably should have gone to that. That's what I was thinking this morning as I pulled up. Because, like, imagine I'd be playing for Leicester, maybe.
Yeah.
Just different
But now
opportunities.
I'm playing with Wood, so yeah, a little bit different. Random, sorry.
I think, again, that's probably like you've kind of, I think, like being in that, just to go full circle back to like working in Limeys, and like that experience brings you out of your shell a bit, doesn't it? And forces you to kind of develop people skills. And I almost think it should be like kind of, you know, like service that everybody should do at that age, because it just, you know, you can go to university, you can study whatever you want, but if you can't connect with people and speak to them on their level, like, you're just at such a disadvantage.
Yeah,
you know, it's a real life skill, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, yeah. 100%.
And maybe had that experience happened a few years later when you kind of come out your shell a little bit.
Yeah,
it probably wouldn't have been like you saying no or not going to it. It was probably just a reflection of you probably just being a bit shy or nervous.
Yeah, I was.
Whereas, you know, working at Limeys, working on that shop floor, and having to like force yourself to engage with people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that would have been a different answer.
Probably. There we go.
But yeah, mate, thank you very much for coming out. I'll always enjoy chatting to you.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for people to like meet you on the podcast now.
Yeah, definitely.
And to hear your story.
Yeah.
Where can people check you out?
You can check us out at timber_foundry Instagram, Timber Foundry Limited on Facebook, and obviously www.timber-foundry.com is our site. Got your little present actually before we wrap up.
No
for the old wall
that we've not seen yet.
Yeah, you've not seen it. It's massive. It's just been there. But yeah, I got your
Look
little,
at this.
I can't take credit.
Hold that up to the camera for everybody there.
There you
Look
go.
at that. Oh, a little beauty.
My mate.
Look at that embossing.
Big up your mates. My mate Matt from Rustic Fox in Manchester made it.
Where are we going to place that? That needs to go in the background, doesn't it, somewhere?
Kind of like there somewhere, isn't it?
And also now the expectation that other guests need to bring.
Yeah, the level
Yeah.
is just raising,
Yeah, there you go.
raising, isn't it?
A little bit of plywood for you.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, there you go. Oh, that's good there. Yeah, there you go.
It's like it was meant to be. It's always been there. Right. I think we're due another coffee, aren't we, guys?
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
cheers, guys.
Thank you very much for giving us your time. Thanks for coming all of
Pleasure.
10 minutes away from
from
where you live. Great to chat to you. And if you've listened to this and you enjoyed it and you've taken some value away from Max's story, James's story, just give him a shout out on Insta, tag him, and we'll see you
Very,
next
very
time.
soon.
Is that it, Eagle?
That's it. That's it.
Should we just go and press stop?
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.